Tonight, as we remember President John F. Kennedy, we remember the woman by his side whose face also looked like the future. Somehow, just 4 months after her husband's assassination, Mrs. Kennedy summoned the will to tape a secret interview about him. And on these tapes, we hear her thoughts in that singular, intimate, breathy voice. They were the young couple who once held the promise of a brand new century. A handsome young man filled with nerve and swagger. His luminous wife, lit by the sun. They brought with them the tumult of little children at play in the Oval Office and the White House fountain. Storied days of Camelot. Mrs. Kennedy said it was during the 13 days of the Cuban Missile Crisis she drew nearest to her husband.
I said, anything happens, we're all going to stay right here with you. You know, and I said, even if there's not room in the bomb shelter in the White House, we can't see. And I said, please, then I just want to be on the lawn when it's happening. No, but I just want to be with you, and I want to die with you, and the children do too, and live without you.
A dangerous time that passed. And then, in the year ahead, as the first term is almost ending, they begin to dream about their future. Someday, getting away from the pressure of the White House.
And just towards the end, Jack was thinking about being either publisher of a great paper, or we might have ended up television or something. It just made me so sad because Jack could have had his happiest years later.
On these tapes, we do not hear Mrs. Kennedy speak about the day 50 years ago. By every account, reliving it even once had been too painful. She has told writer T.H. White what she remembers. The blazing sun, the sound of a bullet, the puzzled look on her husband's face. She remembers trying to grasp a piece of her husband's skull as it was shattered. Over the next 2 days, no one could imagine how she summoned the strength to watch over every detail of her husband's funeral. When you look at those images of her standing there carrying the grief for a whole nation, at her age, 2 days planning, isn't just stronger stuff? She did it for him, and she knew she didn't have a choice. She said that you were there holding her hand like a soldier. And while Mrs. Kennedy is taping with Arthur Schlesinger, her little son, John, wanders in.
John, what happened to your father?
He's gone to heaven.
He's gone to heaven. You remember him?
Yeah.
What do you remember?
I don't remember anything.
She says she remembers once when her husband asked a Lincoln historian,
Would Lincoln have been this great a president if he'd lived? He said that was his question.
President Kennedy thought he knew the answer.
What was better for Lincoln? That he died when he did. And then I remember Jack saying, after the Cuban Missile Crisis, when it all turned so fantastically, he said, well, if anyone's ever going to shoot me, this would be the day they should do it.
Oh, really?
He said, we never talked then. Things come back now. Oh, and I think now that he's dead, and the different people who come to me, you think he belonged to so many people, and each of them thought they had him completely. And he loved each one just the way love is infinite of a mother for her children. He loved us all.
And we thank you for watching. David Muir will be here all weekend, and we leave you tonight with a live picture of the eternal flame at Arlington Cemetery, and wish you a good night.